listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Frederick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I am Michael Halcomb, and in this episode, we're thinking about how we can grow our vocabulary. That means it's a Growcabulary episode. There we go. In this episode, we're thinking about Greek vocabulary in particular, and essentially, we're continuing to look at Greek roots. Greek roots are really helpful in building our Greek vocabulary. Now, on the docket today, as I often say, is the Greek root the, theta, epsilon, the. And so, if you're watching, here in just a moment, we're going to show on the screen a search with the root the, and we'll see what happens. If you're just listening, that's fine too. You can listen in, get a little bit more out of perhaps if you're just watching, but I think those of you who have ears to hear can hear just fine. So here we are at stepbible.org, and I got my keyboard set to Greek, and I'm going to go to search, and I'm going to type in the. So there we go. Let's see what happens. Now, what we get here is a ton of words with the. So this is a little challenging to try to discern which one of these has the as its root. I mean, we see words like theopnostos, or theos, or therapia, or therapevo, thevdas. So this is quite interesting. What I'm really interested in myself is the root the, and so one way that I can maybe shrink this is to look at the verb tithemi. Now that's interesting because one, we have the T on there, which is actually just kind of like a reduplication from the right? So we don't have tithe. That sounds really weird. Instead, we have tithe. And what's happened is this eta has essentially turned into an iota in the reduplication as well. So both the tav and the iota have transformed in the reduplication, and this the is actually the root of tithemi, which means to put or to place. So we can look at this and we see it in very, very different forms. In fact, if we go back there real quick, we'll see that tithemi occurs 585 times in our search here. And when we go look at it, we see it, that's across the Septuagint and the New Testament. We see etheto. Well, now you can see that the pretty clearly, whereas in tithemi, the theta eta, that we had the eta lengthened instead of the shortened epsilon here. And tithemi, again, means to put, place, appoint, decide. Yeah, so we have that form, etheto. It occurs again, several times in Genesis. There we have the theta eta form, Genesis 3:15, theso. Let's scroll ahead to see if we can get some New Testament views in here. There's going to be a lot in the Old Testament. We're in 1st, 2nd Kings. There we go. Let's keep scrolling. There's Psalms that we see at thesome, the middle form there. Jeremiah, we see it. Ezekiel. And here we are in the New Testament. Now we see it in Matthew. We see it in Mark 6:29. Ethekon. We got that form there. And check out this one. We got Mark 12:36, tho. And it'd be maybe difficult if you weren't familiar with the fact that the was the root of tithemi and whatnot, that tho belongs to that, you might have trouble relating the to tho. But this is the aorist active subjunctive for singular form tho, and it is indeed comes from the root the. So we're seeing some pretty interesting stuff here. Tho, the, yeah, and if you look even in Matthew 22, this can have the connotation of or meaning to make. So has a wide semantic range as well. And I don't have a great mnemonic device to help us remember this, but maybe just one thing is as you're putting or placing something, you're putting it over there. And so you can think of those first few letters of the word there, the, as like the in the root that we're looking at, right? So put it over there. That's a silly mnemonic device. Most mnemonic devices are, but that's the best I can come up with at the moment. So when you're thinking of the root it has to do with putting, placing, making. And there's other meanings as well, but those are some prime ones. If you think about that in relation to the verb tithemi, that may be helpful as well. And the mnemonic, put it over there. All right, so I'm going to stop there, or I'm going to stop there, and I hope that helps.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glosshouse can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glosshouse offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glosshouse.com today. Glosshouse, language resources for the global community.